Before I go any further, I need to say this plainly. What you're about to hear isn't about scandal or shock. It's about loneliness, blurred lines, and the quiet moments where emotions drift somewhere they shouldn't. Nothing happened, but not everything needs to happen to change you. That morning, I stood alone in my kitchen, my fingers resting against the cool granite, listening to the refrigerator hum like it was the only thing in the house that knew how to keep going. From the outside, my life looked settled, stable, earned. For years, stability had been a luxury I couldn't afford, and now that I had it, the silence felt heavier than the chaos ever did. For a long time, it had just been me, surviving, moving from one cramped place to another, stretching patience and money further than they wanted to go. I learned early how to be strong because there wasn't anyone else to do it for me. I learned how to talk things through, how to be honest, how to rely on closeness instead of distance. When you live like that long enough, boundaries soften without you realizing it. Somewhere along the way, I decided to reclaim myself. I started running in the mornings, lifting weights, pushing my body the way I used to push my life forward. It wasn't vanity. It was survival evolving into confidence. I felt present again, seen even if only by myself. When I bought this house, I promised I wouldn't apologize for the space or the quiet. And when I added the hot tub out back, I told myself it was just a reward for making it through everything. That weekend, someone close to me was staying over. Not family, not a stranger, someone who had been part of my life for years in a different way. Familiar, trusted, comfortable. We'd share jokes, long conversations, late nights talking about plans and regrets. I never questioned it. Why would I? Familiarity has a way of disguising change. That night, after dinner, I asked if they wanted to try the hot tub with me. It sounded harmless when I said it out loud. Just a way to relax, to laugh, to enjoy something new together. I changed, checked myself in the mirror longer than I needed to, and told myself it was nothing. Excitement, that's all. Outside, the air was warm, the water steaming gently under the lights. We joked about the jets, about whose seat was better, about how ridiculous the whole thing felt. It reminded me of old nights, easy laughter, shared space, no weight attached. But something was different. Maybe it was the heat, or the closeness, or the way time slows when you stop performing and just exist. At one point, we switched seats, laughing, splashing water like kids who didn't know better. I moved without thinking, settling too close, and the laughter stopped, not dramatically, just enough to notice. Just enough for the air to shift. Neither of us moved right away. I told myself it was awkward timing. A coincidence. Too much warmth, too little space. I laughed it off, made a joke, pretended not to feel my heart racing. Eventually they stood up, muttering something about grabbing another drink, and the moment dissolved the way moments do when no one names them. But when I was alone again, leaning back against the edge of the tub, I realized something uncomfortable. That moment stayed with me, not because of what happened, but because of how it felt to be noticed again. I told myself the feeling would fade by morning, that it was just an awkward overlap of comfort and coincidence. But when I woke up, the house felt different, charged, like something invisible had been rearranged overnight. I moved through my routine on autopilot, making coffee, opening curtains, pretending I wasn't replaying every second from the night before. The way the laughter had stopped, the way neither of us rushed to fix it, the way my body had reacted before my mind caught up. When they came into the kitchen later, sleepy and casual, I forced myself to act normal. We talked about nothing important, weather, plans for the day, errands that needed to be done. From the outside, it was exactly the same as it had always been, but I noticed everything, the pauses, the way eye contact lasted a second longer than necessary, the way space between us felt measured, deliberate. I didn't intend to change anything. I didn't plan to test boundaries. But awareness has a way of shifting behavior even when you swear it won't. That day, I wore clothes I knew made me feel good. Not provocative, not intentional, just fitted enough to remind myself I still existed as more than a role. I caught glances I might have missed before, or maybe they were new. Either way, each one landed heavier than it should have. It started small, a joke that lingered, a comment that could have meant nothing or something. We laughed, but the laughter carried a nervous edge now, like we were both listening for what might slip out if we weren't careful. By the afternoon, I realized I was paying attention in a way I hadn't before. Not out of desire exactly, out of curiosity. The dangerous kind. The kind that asks, why does this feel different now, instead of, how do I stop it? That night, we ended up outside again, not in the hot tub this time, just sitting nearby, talking while the water cooled under its cover. The conversation drifted to memories, hard years, lonely years, moments where we both admitted feeling unseen. The honesty surprised me. It wasn't flirtation, it was vulnerability. And vulnerability can be far more intimate than touch. At one point, they said something that caught me off guard, a simple admission about feeling lost lately, unsure of direction, unsure of themselves. I reached out without thinking, resting my hand over theirs. It was meant as comfort, nothing more. But neither of us pulled away. The silence that followed was thick, weighted with understanding. Neither of us spoke out loud. I could feel my pulse in my fingertips. I told myself to move, to break it, to laugh it off, but instead I stayed still, afraid of what acknowledging the moment might unleash. Eventually, I did pull back, slowly, carefully. I made an excuse about the temperature dropping, about getting inside. They nodded, relief and something like disappointment crossing their face so quickly I almost missed it. Later, alone in my room, I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at nothing. I wasn't shaken because something had happened. I was shaken because something almost had, and because part of me hadn't hated that realization. I told myself I was just lonely. That attention does strange things when you've gone too long without it. But deep down, I knew it was more complicated than that. And complication, once invited in, rarely leaves quietly. By the third day, it was impossible to pretend nothing had changed. Not because of anything dramatic, no arguments, no confessions, but because restraint itself had become something we both had to actively maintain. We moved around each other more carefully now, passing in hallways with just enough space to avoid contact. Conversations that stayed light on the surface but felt weighted underneath. It was exhausting in a quiet way, like holding your breath without realizing how long you've been doing it. That evening we sat on opposite ends of the couch, the television playing softly in the background. Neither of us was really watching. I could feel the pull again, not physical, not explicit, just a shared awareness that something unresolved was sitting between us. It wasn't temptation, it was recognition. Finally they spoke, not joking, not deflecting. "I don't understand what's happening," they said quietly. "And it's messing with my head." I turned to face them, heart beating faster than I wanted it to. There it was. The moment where I could keep pretending or tell the truth without letting it go too far. "I don't understand it either," I admitted, "but I know we can't let confusion turn into something we can't take back." They nodded slowly, eyes fixed on the floor. "I don't want to lose what we have." "Neither do I said. And I meant it more than anything, which is why we need to stop this before it becomes something else. The words felt heavy but necessary. Like setting down a weight you didn't realize you'd been carrying. We talked then, really talked, about loneliness, about how easy it is to mistake being seen for being wanted, about how comfort can quietly blur into something dangerous if you don't pay attention. No accusations, no dramatics, just honesty. When we finally stood up, there was a sense of relief I hadn't expected. Not because desire vanished, but because clarity had stepped in. The next morning felt different again, but in a better way. Lighter, familiar. We joked over breakfast, teased each other the way we always had, and for the first time in days, it didn't feel charged. It felt safe. Later, alone, I stood in front of the mirror and looked at myself, not critically, not searching for validation, but really looked. I realized something important. The attention hadn't changed me. It had reminded me of something I'd forgotten. I wanted to feel alive, desired, seen. but that feeling didn't have to come from the wrong place. Sometimes the most dangerous lines aren't crossed with actions, but with silence. And sometimes the strongest thing you can do is stop before you lose something that actually matters. I'm sharing this because I know I can't be the only one who's felt this pull, this confusing mix of closeness, loneliness, and attention that sneaks up on you when you least expect it. If you've ever been there, I'd really like to hear your thoughts. Do you think moments like this are warning signs or reminders of what's missing? If this story made you pause, consider liking the video and sharing your perspective in the comments. Sometimes clarity comes from hearing how others see it.